director choose during any time of the council workshop to leave, they will have already received their certificate. I don't want them to be here, be in an awkward situation. So I prefer to move them up first. If it's okay, a motion or direction that they will come before the citizen petition. Councilwoman Gonzalez.
So moved to move them up on the agenda, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
I second that motion.
Of direction.
Of direction.
All in favor? Thank you, Councilmember Boyd. Everybody, that's a yes, because it's not showing up here. All right, the motion of direction is 7-0 to move the Webelow Fort Cavasso Club Scout recognition before the citizen petition. Webelow, you come up front, please. So you do have the option to leave whenever you feel like it's not comfortable for them. All right. So we're going to turn around real quick and let everybody see you. All right. This is the Webelow Scouts represented from Fort Cavazos. So I wanted to honor you and them. It takes a lot to take the leadership to come here tonight to learn about city government. And they're here to understand how a city council functions as a whole and our leadership and how the city comes together and discuss items and come up with solutions that represent our community. So now you can come around. This is for you. You get right up here so I can present it to you all.
Turn around, face the crowd.
Alrighty. That's great. All right. The City of Killeen proudly recognized Webelow Club Scout Pack 221 for taking the initiative to learn about their local government and the City Council meeting process. This Build a Better World adventure will grow their leadership skills, show the importance of municipalities, as well as show Scouts the responsibility they will one day have as a voters. So it's important that you know that you'll be voters one day and you'll be sitting up there. So I want to say thank you all for taking the time to come out and learn what we do. Give them a round of applause. We can let you speak. Step right there for you.
Mrs. Mayor, City Council, thank you very much for this opportunity to come and have the Scouts really see what goes on. And ma'am, you hit the nail on the head. This is it right here. This is our future, and we all know it. And the earlier we can get them introduced to what does a City Council do, how does government function, how does government work, the better we are all going to be when we're depending on these youngsters right here to lead us into the future. So, ma'am, once again, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. All right. You head back.
Citizens petitions. Madam Secretary.
CP 23031, Cameron Cochran. Discussion to remove the current city manager.
Sir. Thank you all for coming. Excuse me. Thank you all for coming. Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, I visit with you and the council members today with concerns regarding the decisions that I have witnessed in the Killeen chambers, decisions that the city manager has made in the recent year. As the city looks forward to a new year, I wanted to highlight some of the problematic choices made by the current city manager. Today, I would like to point out 5 target areas that reflect some discussion and reasons why we should remove the city manager. They basically fall under the mismanagement of funding and resources by this current city manager. Number 1, failure to collect fees and permits and related property development services for the city of Killeen. It was noted during the summer that the city manager acknowledged this mistake. The city council requested an audit to fix that mistake, but I've yet to see any audit or the results of that audit. The city manager just said, "Don't worry about it, I've got it." Well, I think we lost revenue there. Number 2, the city manager's understanding of the Killeen's real estate portfolio has been questionable. Based on the city manager's urging, the city council moved forward with the purchase of several dilapidated buildings and land purchases. Afterwards, these same real estate ventures, again led by the city manager, were sold. The results netted a significant loss for the city of Killeen. Number 3, economic development was hampered by the city manager. Throughout the 2024 budget discussions here in the chambers, the city manager played a pivotal role. Due to his weekly involvement, irregulatory actions occurred and became a distraction in the Killeen Council decision-making process. This disarray was evident by the city council receiving numerous complaints from local real estate agents, property developers, and other business leaders within the Killeen community. In my opinion, the city manager lacks expertise in this area, and his management skills, as they resulted from the 2024 budget, created an unneeded crisis for the city of Killeen. Number 4, the city manager lacks vision and supports small businesses within the city limits of Killeen. Recently, the downtown area received an award. So far, I've seen zero effort by the city manager to advertise or recognize the city citizens for this achievement. In my opinion, the city of Killeen should have already placed much-needed advertisement signs on I-35, I-14, or the Highway 195 corridors directing customers to the downtown region. Incorporating advertisement signs would highlight the recent upgrades in the Killeen's downtown district and would be a vital infusion of customers to the small business area. Number 5, let's discuss electronic vehicles. I've noticed there's an amendment proposed later today for the city manager to change the 2024 budget. The city manager is requesting $20,000 to target a feasibility study for electronic vehicles at the airport. The city manager is trying to determine if charging stations are needed at the airport. Personally, I'm not sure how many travelers are going to leave their electronic vehicles charging at the airport while they're in transit status to another location. But hey, that's just me. Electronic vehicles and charging stations that have been around for a long time is not a new concept. A forward-thinking city manager would have already begun the construction of EV stations around the city. Maybe that's why Killeen is one of the last metropolitan areas to consider installing the EV stations, as we have no forward-thinking manager. In conclusion, I, along with many other residents who live and work in the Killeen, have lost trust and faith in this current city manager. Moving forward in the new year, I know that someone else should be filling the role of the Killeen city manager. This decision, although, rests with you, the city council. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Francisco, could you come and fix my, yeah, thank you. If anybody would like to speak, I don't see it here. It's Mayor Pro Tem.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, constituents. Dr. Carthen. He just gave us some pointers of what he thinks, why not. Let me tell you why we should. When I look at the accomplishments of our city manager for this year, I'm looking at an improved City of Killeen bond rating from AA to AA, a negative AA to AA. Negotiation of Anthem Park development agreement to bring over $600 million and new development. $600 million, y'all. And new development, including Dave & Buster's. We hired a new police chief. We hired a new director of community development. We're responsible for a new downtown development plan resulting in 37 new businesses, 22 events, and 87 new jobs. We reduced property rates 4 years in a row. We increased sale tax collections from $109 per person in 2019 to $146 per person in 2024. Wow, that's big. Improve employee salaries to be more competitive and reduce turnover. Submitted 4 balanced budgets in a row. Reorganized finance department to be more efficient. Funded covered parking and solar project at GRK. Started construction of second hangar at GRK, and we demolished our old Skylark terminal. Those were the things that I saw. You know, my mother used to tell me when I would come home from school and I would be upset because no one at school did what I told them to do, or none of my friends were calling me the way that I wanted them to call me. Who can throw the first stone?
Councilmember Sagara.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for pointing a lot of good things out. And I think the last comment that the gentleman made was probably the most important one, which is, council, this decision rests with us. And we're the ones that hire, we're the ones that fire. And I can tell you that from my perspective, I've seen 5 city managers, and the current city manager is the best one we've had. And going through the process of hiring a city manager, it's an extremely difficult process, you know, trying it. And having someone, and I think I pointed this out many years ago when we hired our first city manager that actually had the credentials to be a city manager, because from that point on, we hired them and they didn't have the credentials, which I didn't even know they existed. But our current city manager has all that. Yes, you know, his biggest thing is dealing conflicts. That's just part of a city manager. You know, you're going to always deal with a lot of difficulties, and he's got to have a lot of resiliency. So, you know, what he goes through, he got to deal with the political side of it as well as with the staff. But from my perspective as a council member, I'm here to tell you we got one of the best city managers that we've had. And I can say out of the last 5 city managers that I sat up here sitting on the council. So hopefully none of this thing will deter him from us going in any opposite direction, because believe me, we don't want to go through that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
I did forget something. That's understandable. I'm getting kind of old. But at the electric plug stations, if you look when you're going down towards, I think it's Ford, on the side of Ford, going towards Jason Deli, there are 2 plugs to plug your electric car. The question is, how many electric cars do we use per plug? And that's something that I've got to find the information out on. But when we start talking about our electric plugs and our electric stations, we have to look at what we have right now versus the cars. It's like a staff ratio. Do we get 100 cars to 2 plugs in a town? What is the ratio? So that's something that I will look up, and I'll have that answer back on next Tuesday.
Councilman Boyd, do you have anything to say before I speak?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you for allowing me to speak. In regards to the city manager, I just want to say that since I've been on council, I'm actually impressed with a lot of the initiative our city manager has put forward. It is a fact that he deals with the political side, and it's a lot to absorb and to work with. Yes, that's his job, right? But I see him working through that. The public should know as well, our city manager works well with our employees, very much so. To where he's rated highly by the employees, by the city, and that's important, being the city manager for our city. So I don't have anything negative to contribute to that at all. No one's perfect, and as far as I'm concerned, he's doing what the council has asked of him to do, and most importantly, we're getting a balanced budget presented to us every year since he's been here, which of course is by default in the charter. So I'm just grateful for the city manager that we do have at this point, and I just wanted to share that publicly. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam. You know, it's been said that we can't please all of the people all of the time, only some of the people some of the time. The job is not an easy one. There's no way to shape that and say it any other way. But from the feedback that I've received from our staff, It's been positive as it relates to Mr. Cagle and his leadership, as it relates to growing our city, as it relates to growing our departments and making their environment a better place. He has been truly successful in that respect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council members? Okay, Councilmember Solomon.
I just want to add to that. I have been around to the departments of the city, and one of the first things I hear is that how they really they're so thankful that we have a city manager like Mr. Cagle, and they have a passion. I use that word because it's true. It's not only a passion, but the professionalism that they have. It flows from the top, and it reflects from the top. And so I said this before, I've been nothing but excited about having this city manager. We've been around. I've been with him. I meet with him like every other week. He knows what he's talking about. And based on what we've heard, even from our Mayor Pro Tem, I'm the new kid on the block, but and I've been on council before in other cities. This is one of the best city council member I've seen. I mean, city council manager. I'm sorry, but it's been great working with him, and I look forward to working with him for the rest of my term. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Dave.
Now, I would just like to add one thing. I'm a little perplexed by those comments because when Mr. Cochran filled out the form to speak, this is what he wrote. I assert that the city manager should be removed from his position due to the lack of oversight and management for the Killeen Housing Authority. The knowledge that administrative problems have occurred for the past 12 months or more as a city program reflects insufficient standards and controls. Due to his negligence of KHA, this crisis situation occurred between September and October of 2023. So I just have to assume that Mr. Cochran figured out between the time he turned this in and he spoke tonight that the city has, it's not a city function, and I have no oversight of the Killeen Housing Authority.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. So I just want to address as a whole. For the last, I guess, month, 3 months, maybe last year, I'm not even sure, I lost count, that every Tuesday there's an attack. And that attack comes through our citizen petition, which really doesn't have anything to do with the daily operation of what Mr. Cagle do. It's just an attack. And these attacks not only have an effect on Mr. Cagle, he has a wife, he has kids that's in college. It affects the city, the staff, not just the people that show up here, but the 100 and some thousand other residents that chose to make the city of Killeen a place to live. And it just baffles me that every Tuesday, Mr. City Manager, or the mayor, or Sagara, or Alvarez, that's it. So I want to address each one of the items that was stated that he does not do a great job at it. Failure to collect fees. Well, anything that comes with collecting fees, it falls up under an executive director that this happened prior to him coming on board. And the council has the oversight over the city manager on all of these 5 items I'm going to talk about. At any given time, this council can say, collect fees. There is an audit being done right now, but prior to that audit, we're working with the animal shelter on that audit. So you have to do an audit one at a time. So that's not his fault. Second thing, understanding real estate. Well, we have some very competent individuals that sit on this council, that was elected by the people, and their professional is real estate. But it goes back. The council has the last say. And we're talking in reference to the ordinance or fees. Mr. Cagle and the staff, all they do is go get the information and they bring it right back where it belongs, right here. We make those decisions. He only just gathered the information and bring it to us. That's 2. Number 3, economic development. Come on now. 80% of our downtown, the vacant buildings are filled. We have 3 individuals on this council. Everything gonna come back to the council, see? It's coming back to us, because we have 3 individuals that sit on this council right here, along with Mr. Cagle. We attend all the economic development meetings. But anything that this council that I know of that have brought to him, we have 2 grocery stores. He's working on another one. Well, still the council. The 4th thing, lack of vision of downtown. On our website, we have the Downtown Award. When they first received that award, it's been promoted, and it's going to continue to be promoted. That's a big deal, because the person he hired was Mr. Revelle, who's our in charge of our downtown revitalization personnel. Miss Kate, he hired. The last thing, electric vehicles. That's important to me, because the individuals that live in District 4 or anyone throughout Killeen, instead of you trying to go all the way down to Georgetown to ensure that your vehicle is charged. Matter of fact, I even asked him to try to get one at Walmart, negotiate with them, negotiate with HEB. Regardless of what, we're moving into the future. If you're ready or not, it's coming. So I applaud Mr. Cagle for everything he has done with 7 different personalities, along with the executive directors. We didn't even have an assistant city manager. And he stood up in place, didn't run, and continued to move the city of Killeen forward. Period. So to come up here every Tuesday, it gotta be tiresome. And just attack him. And that makes you feel good? So I can speak for the individuals that have spoken, that Mr. Cagle was hired by the council. And only this council, where everything lies with us. He can only do what we allow him to do. And as far as I'm concerned, I hope you and your family continue to stay here in the city of Killeen and move our city forward as you have done, because you are definitely the backbone of the daily operation of the city. And we could not have gotten where we are now without you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. With that being said, Madam Secretary, presentations.
PR 23025, presentation regarding the Education Finance Program.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Now the business of the city. I'm excited about this. Woo! All right, so I had the opportunity. Sir, are you on, Mr. David? Is he on?
Yes, I am, Madam Mayor.
Oh, hey, sir, how are you?
I am good, thank you. I'm on with Cedric Ceballos, my partner. Cedric, are you there?
Thank you. So I had the opportunity to meet him at a conference, and he has the most extraordinary education finance program. So I asked Councilmember Gonzalez and Councilmember Board, along with Mr. Cagle, because I needed his expertise from a financial perspective, if there's something that is feasible for the city of Killeen and his experience, 30-plus years, to make sure that we're moving our city in the right direction. And this program focused directly on our youth. So, sir, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us about the program. You have 4 minutes.
Of course. Do we have a PowerPoint up?
We're waiting on it now.
Okay, if you like, I can share my screen. Okay, as they do that, I'll speak. Perfect.
Okay,
Thank
we
you
have
for-
it up, sir.
Thank you for having us. I'm on with my partner, Cedric Ceballos. Quick introduction. Cedric is an 11-year NBA star, champion, all-star, played for the Phoenix Suns and Los Angeles Lakers. We're doing this together. I'm David Adifeso. I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. Came here 33 years ago, experienced homelessness, then became a CPA, started my own, then went to Wall Street, did about $90 billion in deals as an investment banker, started my own business 20 years ago, and became very successful and realized I'd left a lot of people behind. So 5 years ago, started researching the causes of poverty and how to solve it. And I think we finally figured it out. So the program we're about to introduce to you is called the Suchi Education Program. Please turn to the next slide. Basically, what the Suchi Educational Program does is we're on a mission to end poverty. In the process, we will create for America $2 trillion in increased GDP in the form of two things: eliminating childhood poverty that comes with a lot of different ills, and reducing the amount of incarceration by getting our kids off the street and getting them, instead of going to state prison, make them engineers and make them doctors so they can pay taxes. Next slide. This thing called poverty is very pervasive, and I don't need to tell you much about it because I believe you understand the high level of poverty. 11% poor in America, 8.6% white people, 17% black, 16% Hispanic. We shouldn't have this many poor people. Studies show that if a kid goes to college or any other higher education, and we define higher education in 4 different ways, they will earn $1 million more over their careers than they currently earn. And education is the key to ending poverty. Next slide. Studies also show that if a kid has a college fund or any fund over $500, they're 3 times more likely to go to college and 4 times more likely to graduate. Why do we still have so many poor people in America, even though we have college available? Because of the way college is funded today. Do you realize that 60% of the cost of college is paid for by the parents? Student loans only account for 10%. Grants and scholarships account for 25%. 60% is paid for by parents. 40% the dad or mom writing a check, 10% 529 plans, and 10% student-owned savings. Because of the higher poverty rate for many Americans in inner cities, whether they're white, they're black, they're Hispanic, they're unable to afford that 60%. So many of them actively discourage their children to go to college, and many of them do not go to college. We have figured out a way to replace that 60%, and we help our children get to college in the same way I was able to get to college. Because what really helped me was 2 things. I had the Spirit of Christ, I had God behind me. And the second is when I came in from Lagos, Nigeria at age 21, I had a college degree, an accounting major with no student debt. Next slide. So what Suchi Education Program is 3 things we provide to our children: access, financing, financial literacy. Next slide. What access means is we're going to come into your community, and we're doing a pilot program, and you're part of the pilot program. You're one of the 8 cities that are in the running to be the one we launch Suchi in second quarter of next year. Basically, our pilot program involves us coming into your community centers, your schools, your K through 12 schools, after Boys and Girls Clubs, any other places, homeless agencies, foster agencies, to sign up these children who are underserved, irrespective of race. We want children who live below the poverty line. And we give them in a very happy, fun setting. We give them food, we give them games, and we sign them up for a college fund. Next slide. That's the access part, the financing part. Now, again, remember that 60% rule? Well, here's what we've done. Next slide. We've figured out a different way to fund college using the community. It uses 5 things. Instead of that 60%, we engage the employers within the community in a way that helps, like 401ks, employers can actually match the funds that they employ. So if you put in $100 and you work for a company, your employer can match. So we use the private sector to help fund a big part of this. We also have foundations. We work with some of the largest foundations in the world. Bill and Melinda Gates, Honda, Wells Fargo. We can bring that money to your community if you're the one chosen. Also government. We have multiple programs we're working with. One of those programs will bring $1 billion in from the federal government on a 8-to-1 match. State government. And if your city has any money, you're not required to put any money in. Let me repeat, your city is not required to put any money into this program, but if you choose to, we'd be glad you did. And then finally, we have parents and family and friends. So these were all programs we figured out to bring in money into your community. How much money are we talking about? Our goal is to get $14,000 in for every child. What that means is that that child will then be able to afford the cost of a college education, which now is $145,000. In 18 years, by the time that child is 18 years old, they'll need $560,000. To get there, we need $14,000 going in every year for that child. For 3,000 kids, that's $43 million. So if your community if your city is the one that we choose, our goal would be for those 3,000 kids we start in to bring a total of $43 million into the city. Next slide. Financial literacy is also a very big part. We don't give the kids the money. We make them earn the money. How? They come into our they learn. As they learn, they earn coins, and coins translate into money. So all that money I told you about, foundations and all those things, we don't give them that money. We make them earn the money. And we make them earn by learning good financial habits, credit, investment, stocks, assets, things that they will use in the future. Next slide. We define higher education not just as college. 62% of American children do not go to college. 80% of Black kids do not go to college. 77% of Hispanics do not go to college. So college only accounts in our minds for a small part of what people will endeavor to achieve. If you don't go to college, we have three other ways we define higher education. One is get a job. So we will help you get an apprenticeship program, and we will give you that money to help get a job. In addition, if you don't want to get a job or sign up for an apprenticeship program, we will help you to learn a small business course. We'll teach you how to run a business, and we will give you that money to start the business in the city. Our goal is to drive businesses within your city. Finally, if you choose not to start a business or go to school, then you are required to go through a real estate course. We will teach you how to do real estate. We'll introduce you to how to buy real estate, how to sell real estate, and we will give you that money to buy an investment property within the city. So that money will come to you, but you can only buy that real estate within Killeen. Next slide. So basically what our program does is get every child, the goal is to get every single child in your city and every child in America the opportunity to break out of poverty by achieving a college education. Said, do you have any final words? I think I may have taken up almost all of the time.
Thank you so much, sir. So basically, council, you know I'm about doing partnerships. The program is free to anyone that chooses to want to go to college and do not have the funding for college. You would have to go through some financial classes. It's for youth. And every time you go through a class with a match by anyone may match them. If you want to match me and I want to go to college, a business owner can match whatever a parent may put in, so the child will have the opportunity to go to college. And once they complete it and a scholarship is awarded to an individual, they have options. You go to school, or you have to get a job, or you have to take business class to open up a business, and that business must stay in Killeen. Or the fourth choice that you have is real estate, where they will assist you with getting land to buy it and start in that way. So if this something that you guys would like to do, then we'll move forward with just continuing conversation with him, and we'll host a day where we bring out all the business owners, stakeholders, the families, get them to see if there's something that they would like to do and what we can do, but it's free. We don't have to put up anything. Mayor Pro Tem.
Hello? I like the way it sounds, Mayor and Sir, but I'm just kind of curious. I come to you with little Nina, and little Nina wants to go to nursing school. I have no money. I have nothing. Are you telling me that little Nina can now go to nursing school?
Yes.
And little Nina is no, tell me.
Yes, and what we do is if Nina comes to our event, we'll sign her up, we'll give her a college fund. If Nina's mom has a job or dad has a job, we will sign up the employer, and if the employer is willing to do it, if Nina's mom puts in $100 every pay period, The employer matches, that's $200 going in every, that's $400 a year, and that expands. We take that $400, we have a bill now called the Earn to Learn program. It's called the Earn to Learn Act. Senator Mitt Romney is sponsoring at the Christian Cinema in Arizona. It's a bipartisan bill. If you're able to put in $500 per year, the federal government will match up to $4,000 per year. Again, it's called the Earn to Learn Act we're working on. So that brings in $19,000 for the child. Now, that doesn't count foundations. We just applied for a grant for $100,000 for the city that wins. We're going to apply for the Wells Fargo, the Bill and Melinda Gates. There's a lot of money out there in foundations that are available for these children. The children just are not getting the money because they don't know it's there. And finally, we work with so it's the employers, foundations, nonprofits, and also the government. And so yes, little Nina, when she's 18 years old, will have the opportunity to go to college. And our goal is to fund 100% of that cost.
So on that, little Nina doesn't start at birth. She can start at 12 years old, she can start at 16, but little Nina's gonna get a nursing degree,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Correct.
Councilmember Sagar.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, what is the role of the city here? Because it sounds like this is a program that can be done. Is there something, is there an ask that is required from the city? I mean, is this something that can be done without the city, or is there some kind of approval or that you're looking for that from the city, or what?
We have to host the event to get the family members to come out, and the stakeholders, the KISD, CTC, Texas A&M. So we have to have a field day where they can come out to an event where they can learn about the program.
There are two things we need from the city. Like the mayor said, we need the children, and we need the community to come together. This is the community program. So we need the kids. So we need introductions to the school district, the Boys and Girls Clubs, community centers, homeless children, foster kids, wherever they are. So getting that access is important. And then the second part is the funding comes from your community, the employers. So we need introductions to the employers when we have conversations with them. We need to show them what we've done in the past. We also need the introductions to your state assembly, right? It's very, very important for the state to allocate funds. And we're working now with Arkansas and Georgia. Now we're having conversations with the assembly members. This is a community effort. So what the city does is bring that community together for us.
So basically just an okay, because I mean, I don't know if we're experts at bringing kids together other than on our YAC. That's something that, as you mentioned, you know, I would reach out definitely to the Boys and Girls Club or our school system or somebody that has the kids. You know, I'm not an expert in all this, you know, bringing kids together and all. It sounds like a good program by all means. And if what you're looking for is an okay from the city and that's it. But I don't know, you know, when they do presentations, I'm always kind of leery of, you know, putting staff time in something that maybe not their expertise. But if it's just something written saying that, yeah, we're okay with doing this, and, you know, we need to find an organization that can bring this all together, then by all means. But as long as it's not where the staff is having to do anything.
What it is, and I think he explained it quite well, is that if we utilize the Lions Park and we use the gym and we have a basketball day where we invite the community kids and everyone to come in and learn about the program, it's just that simple. So, sir, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
So, council, is that something that you would like to do? Okay, can I get a motion of direction, Mr. Alvarez?
Madam Mayor, I'd make a motion of direction to proceed evaluating and collaborating with the persons for the Education Finance Program to move forward.
Thank you. Councilmember Gonzalez?
I can second that.
All in favor, yes. All opposed, no. Okay, yes for you, Councilman Boyd, thank you. And this will give the youth that are underserved the opportunity to go to college to get out of poverty. It's a win-win to me. Motion of direction. Everyone, Mayor Pro Tem? Someone did not click.
No, I did not click. It did not click. It clicked and
7-0. Before we go into citizen comments, if you have not signed up, this is your opportunity to sign up to speak. We will only be discussing items that are on the agenda. You have 4 minutes to speak. And council, if you choose, you have 1 minute to respond. We'll start off with Ms. Anka. Good evening, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you for showing us what it means to be a team. You are indeed acting as a team, and I loved hearing about listing of all the accomplishments you and the city council, the city manager have done in the past few years. It was very impressive. But I have to tell you something, that doesn't give you the right to break the law. It doesn't give you the right to lie to police. It doesn't give you
Ma'am,
the...
what item on the agenda are
It's
you
regarding
talking
city
about?
manager.
All right, then, it's not about the council. You have to speak on Mr. Cagle.
Okay. I appreciate the support city manager receives from the Killeen Daily Herald in business. It is vital to build strong relationships and support. The editorial from Sunday about the city manager and council was well-written and to the point, but it did leave out some vital information.
Ma'am, the discussion item on number one,
It's regarding
discussion
the
to
city manager.
remove.
Ma'am, this is...
The item on number one,
Okay,
it's not about Killeen Daily Herald. Go there and take that up with them. It's to
Ma'am, it's about
discuss,
ma'am, it's about the city
to
manager.
remove the current city manager. That's the only thing you can talk about on item number one.
I am talking about that, ma'am.
Killeen Daily Herald don't have anything to do with this.
It does.
Ms. Anka.
Can I? Okay, you stopped. Thank you for stopping the time.
The item is to discuss to remove the current city manager. That's it.
And the way you do that, you present issues, you present
Killeen
ideas,
Daily
ma'am.
Herald article doesn't have anything with his daily operation. It just don't.
It does. Oh, it does. A lot.
Please.
Just today, I went to a water symposium, and I met with several representatives from other cities, and they actually mentioned that article. So yes, it does.
His daily operation and what he does.
Yes,
Okay, tie it together.
thank you. Okay, the claims made by citizens at the last city council meeting regarding city manager's past employment are in fact substantiated by public records, by
Ms.
public
Anka,
court
Ms.
records.
Anka, what he
Please.
did in his last job is so irrelevant. We hired
It's-
him to
Ma'am,
do
it is
this
very
job.
relevant, ma'am, and I will show you why.
Continue.
Okay. But, okay, well, first of all, they were substantiated by public court records. Anyone can review. But let me make it clear, the city manager was not named in the lawsuit. He did not participate in sexual harassment that led to the federal lawsuit. He did not make inappropriate comments. He did not assault anyone. His staff did, and he did nothing about it, just like it's happening here, ma'am. See how they tie together?
Okay, you're making accusations that it's happening right here in the city of Killeen. That's a strong accusation without
Yes,
proof.
and I'm going to back it up, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate, I may need an extra minute. It is relevant to mention this history because the city manager has the same indifferent attitude here in Killeen when his staff disregard laws like they did with serving an illegal warrant, which was wrong. That pet was not
Did
voluntarily.
Mr. Cagle assign the warrant? And Judge Krishna.
He allows an
the
illegal warrant to
ma'am,
be
Ma'am, Judge Krishna worked for the council. He does not work for Mr. Cagle.
Ma'am, the city manager allowed the illegal warrant, allowed that kind of behavior to happen.
He's not in charge of even signing, the warrant don't have anything to do with him, only Judge Krishna. And Judge Krishna worked for us. He doesn't work for the city manager.
Animal control works under city manager.
Well, the animal control got the warrant from Judge Krishna. It don't have anything, it does
It
not
has
have
a
anything.
whole lot to do. Of course, it's like, if like a police officer uses excessive force in the.
Councilmember Segar.
Can, Mayor, with all due respect, point of order, just finish and
Thank
just, she's got 1 minute.
If she's off the agenda, I'm going to stop it. And thank
It's
you.
regarding the city manager, ma'am.
Continue.
I will need extra time. Unfortunately, people do lie to police. It is not unusual in this case. Giving false information to police and to the judge resulted in an unlawful confiscation and destruction of a pet. The city manager's attitude to all of this is indifference, just like it was in the past when the federal lawsuit was won against the city. That's how they tie together. And I'd like to point out some values listed on the City of Colleen website regarding the city manager. It talks about citizen engagement. Please tell us, how do we resolve that? He does not want to meet with it. The city manager. I'm talking about what it says on the city website. It talks about citizen engagement being of value for the city manager. However, he refuses to meet and engage with the citizens. Also, he mentions highest ethical standard. To me, somehow covering for staff when they lied. I have documentation, but nobody wants to look at it except the police. I want to give them all the credit. They're not afraid to meet. They're not afraid to discuss uncomfortable questions. They're not afraid to look at the evidence. Everybody else is. And this is reflected on the city manager. And you can tell me, how do we solve that? It's not fair that staff is allowed to lie to police. It's not fair. You tell me, how do we solve that? You tell me.
I'm going to answer your question, but are you finished?
Yes,
Okay. So, Ms. Anka,
yes,
you have also reached out to the council members, correct?
yes,
Okay. And you reached out to Mr. Cagle, correct?
yes.
All right. And he has already, I don't know how many times we done discussed this over and over, and
Until it gets resolved,
council,
ma'am.
well, that's your perspective. Mr. Cagle has answered it.
So you don't want to resolve this?
Council members have answered it. See, it's resolved.
not.
Well, okay, the point taken. If they
Okay.
didn't want to talk about it, they have an option.
Okay.
So you're trying to say Mr. Cagle is at fault here, but he did not.
Ma'am, he is at fault.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
I want to give all the credit to the police. They are willing to discuss issues. Thank you.
Sean Price. Please stay on the agenda item, and I'm gonna read it one more time. Discuss to remove the current city manager if you're talking about the first item, number one. And Mr. Price, you are here to discuss items 12 and 15, according to this.
Right. I
Okay.
just want to make sure that you weren't speaking my words, that I get to speak my words, right?
I only know what you said, but you
I-
have 4
I-
minutes.
I know what I wanted to speak to, but thank you for reminding me. So I have the questions over here. Number 6, if you look at the item agendas on here. What are we fixing exactly on the brand-new I-14 highway? Right there at W.S. Young? What needs to be fixed when it was just built? I mean, it just got finished last year, so I'm wondering how it broke within a year. And we need to put another $70,000 into it. So if anybody can give me that information, that'd be, kind of solving a perplexing question there. Number 12, I would ask that you don't raise our taxes. However you do, whatever you're going to do on increasing the revenue and expenses, please don't do it by taking our taxes, raising it up. That's one of the accomplishments that our pro tem said that our city manager did, is raise our taxes. That's one of the accomplishments that he did. So, and then on item number 15 with the Dark Skies program, is that the same program that's in Phoenix, Arizona? Is it along the same lines? That's just what I wanted to look at, because it's kind of an interesting program. I kind of like that, to see the night sky. It'd be pretty awesome to put that in effect here in Killeen. So I'm just curious if that's the same type of program. And with that, I'm done. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Sean. Michael Fornino. Good evening, you have 4 minutes.
Who can throw the first stone? I certainly can. One of the reasons I question the city manager's integrity. When it comes to what does he know and when does he know it, we're still waiting on an answer. Why? Get that camera out of my face.
Mr. Fornino, please.
That's my right. That's my personal space. I feel attacked. I feel attacked, officer. Officer. No, you play this. You
We're
play this.
taking a
I can play.
5-minute break.
I can play that game too.
I'm calling this meeting back to order. Mr. Fornino, if you do that outburst again, you're out of here.
I can be attacked, but
That's all I gotta say on
I
that.
perceive that as an attack, Madam
You have 3
Mayor.
minutes and 47 seconds.
All right, another reason to remove the city manager. Let's discuss his integrity, as I was trying to go to. Makes false claims that I threatened his family. Yeah, I'm sure that really happened, which it didn't. He claimed that my claims about his past record were false and went into some weird personal rant to try to attach me to some sort of sexual offender. Tuesday, the entire dais has been in receipt of legal documents, court documents, proving everything I said was true, even though over Mr. Cagle's objections that they were not correct. You failed to respond, all of you. I sent a second email. The email that I got back from the mayor, inasmuch said, well, he's not bothering us, why should we care what he does and how the citizens perceive it? And I can forward that email to anybody in the chamber who wants to see it. And in all the course of this, first you say 100 some odd thousand. It's strange to me that the mayor doesn't know it's 162,900 people in the city. But it's all your experiences with the city manager. It's all the staff's experience with the city manager. It's not our experience, our complaints. You kept stifling a previous speaker about a confusion about, oh, well, we meet and sit down. Several members of the dais have said that they'd be willing to have a sit down. When's that going to happen? A lot of this confusion, oh, the issue's closed, we understand. No, it's not going to get resolved here. Okay? Where's all this transparency? We can present it in a logical, cogent manner, have a sit down, that nice little room over there, calmly discuss it, back and forth. Here's what we have to say, how do you respond, back and forth, and we get to the bottom of it. But nobody here wants to do that. Okay? And every time we want to push back against the city manager, there's that word attack. I think I just demonstrated absurdity by being absurd. It was reported that there was an unhealthy distrust in the room last week. Well, I wonder where that unhealthy distrust comes from. Again, it was quoted from the dais last week. Well, we may not do the job that you want us to do, but the job gets done. Well, if not for us, who's the job getting done for? What is the job? You represent the This stonewalling has got to stop, here and now. We want to get to the bottom, like rational, adult, intelligent human beings, we can have a sit-down over this matter and present it in less than a 4-minute format. I'm looking at the mayor, I'm supposed to be addressing the mayor, and she can't even be bothered to look at me. So in the Dr. Cochran's title, he asserts that you're protecting him. Well, the fact that you can't look me in the eye while I'm looking you in the eye, I mean, that furthers the proof right there. None of you can respond to rock-solid proof, unless what? We're going to say that there's a whole bunch of judges up in Dallas that anything that they came up with was invalid? I mean, no matter how many times I come up here, that's all we get. That's how I know I'm right. Everybody up here is silent. We try to get this meeting a more cogent sit-down rather than just remarks from the podium to remove the city manager. Like, I've approached several of you, and I get silence. I get, oh, well, I gotta go. Let's cut the crap. Let's, after the meeting, have 3 police officers flank me while I ask the question very nicely. When are we going to have the meeting to where we can present our information, our undeniable facts, to remove this man from his job?
Sir, I want to apologize for what happened to you. I apologize for that. Melissa Brown, you have 4 minutes. Good evening.
I don't know, I'm having a great day, so. I would like to once again rise in support of the K-Tempo Safer Streets for All grant. I asked last week and I was not addressed, so I would hope that at the 1-minute comment remark period, after I finish speaking, it will be brought up again to ask for a motion of direction to actually put some information about the SF4A grant on the agenda included with the package so that other citizens would know what it is and be able to decide for themselves if they choose to either oppose it or support it. I'd also like to say thank you, and thank you to the mayor for once again showing that when it's a topic of interest to her, she will allow a full discussion on a citizen's petition. I'd also like to thank you personally, Mayor, for changing the rules for tonight and allowing citizens to sign up for citizen comments even after the meeting has started, although to the observant member of the audience, we all know why that is. The homeless strategic plan update. This hasn't been discussed at all since the homeless strategic plan first came forward. If the city's plan is to be as inhumane, cruel, and downright ungodly as possible, then congratulations, the city is succeeding at that. We are now in a situation that I know the council is very aware of, that the homeless don't even have a place to go for meals anymore. We don't have a dedicated warming center. We don't have a dedicated cooling center. And not one council member in their official capacity has spoken up to say, what can we do as a council to fix this situation, other than to say, let's add it onto a future agenda to discuss sometime in the future what the policies are. Well, the policies, discussing them in the future, are not helping anything right now. This is a situation that could have already been solved, but for the mayor's selection to the KHA board, which the city manager is well aware of because the open records request that I received shows that he is copied to all of those
Ma'am,
emails.
Clean Housing Authority is not on the agenda. Once again, stick to the agenda.
Once again, Mayor, you don't have to understand right away how it ties in. I have to believe.
You have 1 minute and 42 seconds.
I have to believe and understand how it fits in. So I'm about to tell you, again, if you would just stop interrupting the citizens when they say something
1
you
minute and
disagree with.
35 seconds.
Every time you say that, you're cutting away from my time, and I will ask the council to replace the time you've taken. Thank you.
1 minute and 30.
Are you done being petty and immature yet? Thank you. So the way this ties in is if KHA were able to operate and do their business, then the Moss Rose Center would already be open. We wouldn't have to cancel having a Thanksgiving dinner for the homeless. We don't have a location for that now. Thank you very much. We don't have a warming center that's dedicated because is the city willing to give up revenue for a location that could be rented for events that we may or may not be able to open as a warming center and then have to last minute move it around. There is maybe a week or two left before the cold really sets in. And if we really want to discuss Clean Volunteers, Inc., that's the second way that this ties into the conversation, Madam Mayor, because KVI has volunteered to take over operations of that building and allow the warming center to be had there, allow the meals to be had there, but there are roadblocks being put in the way every single step forward. The mayor wants to talk about, council wants to talk about attacks. I'm very familiar with how that feels. I am not immune from those attacks, but I also want to reiterate that when one of you is attacked, you say, we attack all of you. The exact opposite of the exact opposite of that is true also. If one person up there decides that they want to attack a citizen, that means you have all attacked a citizen. So be very careful what those lines are and what those associations are, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Thank you. Just in response to the citizens' statement of us not acting, I can't speak for anyone else, but in our official capacity, that is not a true statement. I've said it time and time again, and I will continue to say it on behalf of all of those hard workers who are advocating for not only our friends in crisis, the homeless. The city allocated funds for those friends that were in a crisis, and we gave revenue for that situation. Speaking of the situation that she referenced specifically, I have said again, time and time again, this is a call to action for every single organization in the city of Killeen. If we're going to knock on the door, let's knock on those doors. They have missions, they have visions, and their statements say that they are here to help the homeless, those in need. Where are you? That's my question. The city cannot do all of those things. We cannot. However, we can advocate in our official capacity. I can use this microphone to ask that question, to broadcast it. Where are you? And I'm going to continue to say that, but I just wanted to go on the record again in my official capacity.
Again, Mayor and constituents, you know, so many times you get a bad rap. No one has said that they have not enjoyed or have tried not to help the homeless. The thing that happens is that when we're a nonprofit 50C organization, guess what? We have a nonprofit board. And when we have a nonprofit board, then your board members and that nonprofit organization gets to say what's going to happen. We're not included in that. When we had the author fundings and the different funds where you could apply for a grant and come and get the grant to help your organizations, then it was out there. I don't know if you applied, I don't know if you received any money, or how much you received, but you have that opportunity. It kind of like puts citizens at it kind of like puts the council in a bad light, as if we're not going to help. Well, we do help. We help sometimes personally. We help the best way that we can. But once again, when you're a nonprofit, your nonprofit board and those people that sit and have stayed, I'm standing with you. They should be they should have fundraisers intact and things that's needed. If there was an emergency, if you think this city council would not help any person that was in an emergency that was on the street and it's 1 degree, and one of us would walk past that person, then something's wrong. My time is up.
Thank you both. I just want to address 3 things. The first thing is citizen comments. When you have a topic that's on the agenda and it's happened before, and it's a topic that everyone has a comment on, whether it's good or bad, and individuals come in, then they get upset once they submit their form after we have started the meeting. So therefore, since then, if you come in late, that's why you get the opportunity to turn in your form. The other thing I wanted to address is the Killeen tell me as the mayor on how to do my job. When the state clearly states, not the city council, not the city manager, anyone else, that the mayor appoints to the Killeen Housing Authority. That's it. It's simple, black and white. If the Killeen Housing Authority would like
Point
to.
of order? Is that on the agenda?
Oh, yes, it is. It's not, but I'm tying it up. You're right. So if you're 100% right, it's off the agenda. But nevertheless, I want to say this.
We got to set a standard, so we
Yes.
don't want to talk off topic if it's not on there.
Just said that it wasn't on the agenda, and thank you so nicely for bringing that to my attention. But I will tie it in right here. The homeless strategic plan, which is on the agenda. Mr. Cagle is already working on that. The homeless is a problem. And if any organization that would like to open up any kind of warm and shelter, we're the city not stopping them. You can do it, period. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is this council has done an excellent job in moving this city forward. And we will continue to represent all the residents of Killeen. And I think Councilwoman Gonzalez said it best, that we're going to have individuals that may not be happy with what we do. But trust us, we always put the residents, the city staff, and also our stakeholders and business owners first. With that being said, Ms. Shirley Del Conte. Good evening, ma'am. You have 4 minutes.
And I will tie this in. A number of years ago, a town hall meeting was held in the fire station on Lake Road. In addition to several council members, city manager, our first responders, and a number of residents, and possibly others I have overlooked, were in attendance. My reason for being there was because the drinking water in my home was horrible. Water was foamy, slimy, and left a residue of pinkish orange. After voicing my concerns about Killeen's drinking water, City Manager Mr. Cagle responded by saying there's nothing wrong with the water, and he would come over to my house and drink a glass from the tap. You could have knocked me over with a feather. Yes. I was stunned at his remarks and attitude. I certainly did not expect this from a city official who was supposed to be taking care of the city and the city's residents. And not one person made a remark after Mr. Cagle made his declaration. Not even my District 1 Councilwoman Gonzalez had anything to say about what had just occurred. This happened long before local government informed the city's residents that the city would be dosing the drinking water with excessive amounts of chlorine during the month of February of this year. There was the water was better during that period. It returned to its original nasty state afterwards and has remained pretty much the same way. I'm tired of paying for drinking water that I can't utilize. In the over 50 years that I have lived here, the drinking water has never been an issue until the current city manager, Mr. Cagle, was put in charge. He should be removed. Either he doesn't know what he's doing or doesn't care. I'm thinking maybe both after his reaction to my complaint. Oh, and don't blame it on all the digging and broken lines all over Killeen. This was an ongoing long before that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bill Crockett. Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
Rigor mortis is in there. All right, good evening, Mayor, council members, Mr. Cagle. Obviously, the topic of removing Mr. Cagle from his position is a very heated one. I don't side with any of these negative people. I, like the mayor and a number of council members, am very satisfied with the job that he is doing, that he has done. Dredging up the past, I wasn't involved in the selection process, and I'm sure there were a number of good people that spent a lot of time grilling Mr. Cagle, looking into his past, and the past needs to stay in the past. I joked with Mr. Cagle recently. I said, "Do you have any outstanding warrants?" And he joked. I said, "No." I said, "All right, then I'm satisfied." You know, I learned a long time ago, believe only half of what you see and none of what you hear. You know, I'm not privy to anything that happened in the past, and he actually shared some things that happened in the past. Doesn't matter to me. I've been watching him the entire time that he has been serving the city of Killeen, and I'm more than satisfied. And I know I've never had an issue getting any of his time when I had questions, concerns, or, you know, just wanted to be educated. He's always been more than accommodating. But the big thing is we have people that don't know how to communicate. They want to hit you across the head with a 2x4, you know, to get your attention instead of addressing you the way they want to be addressed. And they go, "Well, you know, you're not listening." That's your opinion, you know, because Mayor Pro Tem, you said this before, you know, just because the council or Mr. Cagle doesn't do what somebody out here says doesn't mean you're not listening. Just you listen, but you are ultimately responsible for making the decision. And it's sad to see this much animosity in what should still be a small town feeling. And like I said, I am more than satisfied with every interaction I've had with Mr. Cagle, and talking with many of the city employees who are absolutely, they're thrilled with what he's done since he's come on board. And I know Mayor and Councilmember Segar, you were sitting on the dais years ago when we didn't have an experienced city manager, and you know how bad that was. And I wasn't really in favor of hiring a city manager when we had some apparently good people, but when you hired Mr. Ron Olson, that quickly changed my mind of the importance of having a good, experienced, knowledgeable city manager. And Mr. Olson wasn't able to stay, but I'm glad to have Mr. Cagle. And I express that gratitude every time I see him there, and he continues to impress me. When you have discussions up there and you have a question and you think, well, we'll have to come back and revisit this, Mr. Cagle has an answer right on the spot, you know, and he does that time and time again. Not knowledgeable, that's ridiculous. The number of times that he's been able to answer your questions when I thought maybe you would have to consult the city attorney because it was actually a legal thing. And he goes, "No, this is what the state requires." So he is, you know, continuing education to make sure that he knows how to do his job. So again, Mr. Cagle, thank you. I'm sorry you have to put up with such hatred, but there are people that support you, and I'm one of those. Thank you.
Bruce Whiteside. Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, City Council. I am here as a concerned citizen, standing against the bullying of Mr. Cagle. I too am going through the same thing as a member of the Killeen Housing Authority. I have a former city council member that is, I have a former city council member that is running me through the same thing. Mr. Cagle, while he has been here, his hiring of the downtown revitalization director has paid dividends, and it will grow our economy, truly. Mr. Cagle was instrumental in assisting small business owners to open up their doors through funds of the American Rescue Plan Act Fund. My heart goes out to the board, to the council, and Mr. Cagle, because you all have to sit here every Tuesday and endure insults from an individual whose agenda is purely political and apparent. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I am saying no names, I'm just saying an individual. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time, and I pray that we are able to stop the hostility and allow you all to do your job. We elected you to do your job, we should allow you to do it. Thank you.
Mr. Donald Smith.
Gotta stretch my legs.
Good evening, sir. You have 4 minutes.
Madam Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, I rise to support Mr. Cagle. After 31 years in the Army and a lot of leadership positions, I think everybody at this head table knows too that no matter what job you're in, we can find things wrong. They certainly found them about me, but I'm going to talk facts, not emotional business. And after 31 years in the Army, they hired me as an instructor. I taught management, leadership, and all that stuff, so I'm comfortable with that. There are certain things that we can look at regardless of the management job to give us an indication of what kind of work the individual's doing. The first one, a manager must have the ability to select the right people to head his departments under him. Otherwise, the whole thing falls apart. We look at Mr. Cagle. Who has he hired? The outstanding police chief. Chief, no tickets for 2 weeks, okay? The fire chief, the downtown revitalization person who has helped me with some problems down there because I didn't know what I didn't know. He has done an outstanding job bringing in people. If you don't have that layer below you that's of good people, you're in trouble. Even a more important factor is a good manager realizes what? His employees are the key to everything, just like the sergeants are the key in the Army at the tactical level. Mr. Cagle has reconstituted the employees recognition program. He has increased the training on employee benefits. This should tell all of us what? This man is interested in the employees of this town. Fact 3, a good manager attacks hard problems head on and jumps on them right away. What has he done? The mayor mentioned it. Mr. Cagle has proposed a comprehensive homeless program. He has gotten with Fort Cavazos to start work on getting the West Side Regional Park issue, the negotiations done. Number 4, a good manager pushes difficult projects until their completion. Mr. Cagle, ensured the demolition of the First National Bank was completed. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the kinds of things we need to look at when we evaluate a manager, because the little nitty-gritty stuff any of us that have been in leadership positions are going to get hit with that. So my recommendation is we have a great city manager. We need to give him our support, and this town, this city will continue to grow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is that all the citizens that wanted to speak before we move on? All righty. Madam Secretary, resolution.
RS 23-188, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing the FY 2024 Texas Officer of the Governor Homeland Security Grant Program Application Award.
Thank you. Mr. Perez. Good evening, sir. Council, you have 5 minutes to speak 2 times each.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. So this item tonight is to review the application and the award that staff submitted to the Office of the Governor Homeland Security Grant Program. All right. So this is an annual grant that the Office of the Governor handles through their Public Safety Office, and it's a statewide competition grant. The funds are intended to improve our ability to prevent, protect, mitigate, respond, and recover to threats and hazards, primarily that of terrorism. And as I said, the Office of the Governor facilitates a competitive application process through the Council of Government Agencies in the state of Texas. So allowable projects, staff submitted a project to pay for public messaging about our Code Red emergency notification system that the city has, as well as the If You See Something, Say Something campaign. These informational campaigns will aim to promote resilience and provide continuity education to our community members. The Office of the Governor has awarded the project, and it is number 4845101. For the financial impact, it was $5,000 project, and so they did award that, and that is positive to the budget. There are no matching funds for this. The alternatives that council has is to not authorize the city manager or designee to act as the authorized official for the grant project through the Texas Office of the Governor, or to authorize the city manager or designee to act as the authorized official for the grant project through the Texas Office of the Governor, and to execute any necessary grant documents or amendments that happen throughout that within state and local law. And staff are recommending that council authorize the city manager or designee to act as the authorized official for the grant. That is all I have.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions? Thank you, Ms. Perez. Madam
I got
Secretary.
mine.
Oh, yes.
Okay, thanks. Just quick question. I know 5,000 is like a drop in the bucket for what the total grant program is. Does this allow us to compete for the larger grants? But I know that I think we may be eligible for some of the bigger ones because of our next door neighbor. Is that your intention to expand the?
So the way this grant process works is it's managed by the state. So the federal government, Department of Homeland Security, gives each state an award of a certain amount of number. The way the state of Texas handles that is that each council of governments assesses their risk annually, and then the state awards each council of governments a certain amount. There were years ago, a couple of folks might remember to council that amount for our region has dwindled every single year. In fact, now I think it's half of what it was when I started 5 years ago that the state allows our area to even apply for. So what our area does specifically is everybody submits a project, and then the Region 7 county emergency managers review those projects and rank them on a list, and then send that to the Office of the Governor to award. So there is more funding. However, I think the total amount of funding that the entire 7 counties was even eligible to apply for as a total was about $250,000. So that's not a lot once you split that up and try to, play partners in the region. So in the past, there are larger projects we've gotten, but that is when there was more funding in this program from the state.
Thank you, sir.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Thank you. Was there a timeline or deadline to utilize those funds?
Yes, so the performance period ends at the end of September 2024. Once this is approved, just as Councilmember Adams said, it's not a whole bunch of money. We plan on having that expended by that timeline for sure.
And then you mentioned that the funds have dwindled since the time that you've been here. So what do you attribute that to? Is that just across the board as a whole, or what do we think is the cause for that?
There's multiple.
Considering what's happening in the world today. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Sorry. There's multiple reasons. One of those is the state of Texas has, I think it's 3 urban area security initiatives in the state. The federal government deems those as high priority areas for any sort of targeted terrorism. Our area is not one of those, surprisingly. Most of it is contributed to population and risk. So yes, we do have Fort Cavazos that may provide some of that, but when you look at the North Texas area, Dallas, Fort Worth, the Houston area, especially they have ports, the El Paso area because of the borders as well, those 3 areas rank very high on that list. So the majority of the funding by the federal statutes kind of has to go that way. So the rest of that money is what the state actually takes and splits up around the rest of the Council of Governments. And just there's less money coming in from the Fed, so then there's less money that they have to split up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Councilman Boyd. Any questions? You okay? All right. Thank you, Mr. Perez. Madam Secretary.
RS 23-189, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing a professional services agreement with CPNY doing business as STV Infrastructure for the design of the Stone Tree Drive drainage improvements and retaining walls in the amount of $127,310.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Revelle.
Good evening, Mayor and the City Council, and to the City Manager. This project is a drainage improvement project as well as a retaining wall project associated with the Stone Tree Golf Course. As noted on the slide, this is a part of capital improvement plan since 2022. The objective is to address failing retaining walls at the hose. Actually, this should be hose 4, 15, and 18. In addition to that, they're also looking at some drainage improvements where runoff is running or water is running from the airport across onto the golf course. And so looking for opportunities to improve the flow of those waters so they don't have erosion impacts on the golf course. Staff received 2 quotes from our solicitation, and as noted on the last bullet, we've got a submittal of a proposal for $127,310 that we are recommending tonight. The full scope of the project is a complete design, as well as bidding support and also construction support whenever the construction contract is able to move forward. This just shows the project location information. This first slide here really shows some of that runoff that's happening. So the airport is just off the slide, if you will. And as I've said, all of that's running off, and we're looking to see how we can divert and prevent some of that. And then as we mentioned, these slides here, or these pictures here really show the failing retaining walls that we need to work to address, and this design will help for that. Council has the 2 alternatives as noted on the slide, and we are recommending that the city manager be authorized to execute the professional services agreement with the consultant as listed in support of this project for $127,310.
Thank you, Mr. Revelle. There's no questions for you. Madam Secretary.
RS 23-190, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing a professional services agreement with Walker Partners for the design of the W.S. Young Drive and I-14 intersection drainage improvement project in the amount of $68,700.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Mr. Revelle.
Yes, Mayor and Council and City Manager. This project here is associated with some drainage improvements that I will show in the next slide. And we have gone through the process of selecting consultants and decided to move forward with a recommendation for Walker Partners for $68,700. I will show you, because I think a picture is worth 1,000 words. These are 2 pictures of the same location. This location is at the corner of W.S. Young and CTE, of Central Texas Expressway. I'm sure you're very familiar with this picture here as unsightly, and some could even characterize as unsafe opening there. And this project really will allow us to basically cover that up. We will still have underground drainage there. It would flow, we believe, better, but more importantly, cover that up, address any kind of drainage issues that we have, as well as address any kind of potential safety hazards. And give us an opportunity in doing that engineering project to also beautify that intersection with the landscaping that you see there, as well as providing for some on-roadway possible improvements and extending that sidewalk that currently stops right there. The council has the alternatives as noted on the slide as it relates to this professional services engagement, and we're recommending that the council will approve moving forward with this agreement for $68,700 with Walker Partners.
Thank you, Mr. Revere. Madam Secretary.
Madam Mayor, I believe a couple of council members have questions.
Sir?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Vivell. And this is a great project. I mean, I think looking at this picture, I know that W.S. Young is a high-traffic area, one of probably the most traffic area in the whole city of Killeen. And I just want to congratulate you because I think that this is kind of direction that we definitely want to go, because it is very eye-pleasing for those people that come right by the, the high-traffic area hotel there. I know we got the plaza there, or the courtyard, I should say. And so it's great. So hopefully we're able to do more of these projects. The question I have, and this is probably something that you can't handle, but over time, I know that we're working hard to do these great projects. And I think the challenge is always going to be, how do we do the upkeep? Because I know that on W.S. Young, I drive by that all the time, and it accumulates a lot of trash. And so I don't know if that's something, as we design these, we look into that, wind blowing, especially there in the corner. Sometimes you got homeless there. And I think that ultimately when we look at these projects, look at some way to figure out a way to make it easier for either the city to keep the upkeep on the appeal or something else to come up with. But it's an outstanding project, and I commend you for it. And great job.
And sir, could I respond to that, Mayor? I just want to make sure it's very clear. This project is actually a brainchild of the city manager. And so it is a great project, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to move it forward. And we've also had some discussions with the city manager as it relates to how do we deal with liquor control.
And I commend the city manager because I know that he comes up with some great ideas and leading to what I kind of mentioned. I know that's our biggest challenge that the city manager has to tackle is the upkeep, because I know that when you get too close to the highway, I know that's it's an interstate highway, and we go with DOT and all that, and sometimes, we come with the challenges, okay, whose job is it to pick up that mattress that's up on the highway or cut? They were cutting grass the other day, and I saw about 6 giant lawnmowers, but they were cutting that, and you can see all the trash underneath, so I don't even know if they picked that up, so.
Let's stay on the agenda. Thank you. Mr. Revelle, thank you for recognizing that's part of Mr. Cagle beautification of City of Killeen. Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is this, I see we're doing this for the design. Do you think this is something we can include with our submission for the K-Temple for the Safe Streets? Because I know this was one of the intersections that we designated as a high risk. As
long as we've got, with that grant, as long as we've got noted fatalities, that gives us an opportunity to move forward there. So we will most certainly include as many projects in that grant opportunity as we can. But that seems to be the primary focus right now.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Boyd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's small improvements like this that make our city look better. I think Councilman Cigar was on point in stating that this may be one of the highest traffic intersections in the city, and people will notice this area looking better. My question is it possible to incorporate some form of sign saying welcome to clean or something like that in there.
You want that
Sure.
sign?
If I may, the city engineer could speak to some of the
Yes,
work
sir.
we're doing associated with that.
Obviously, nothing's off the table on that. You know, we're looking at landscaping. We could look at having a sign. You do have the mall there, so we have to make sure, well, at least what we're doing is within the right-of-way and not getting on the property. It is still TxDOT, so anything we do, we have to get approval from TxDOT.
Sure. That's the only question I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Board, Councilman Board. Thank you, Mr. Ravel. Madam Secretary.
RS 23-191, consider a memorandum resolution approving change order number 3 to the Taxiway B rehabilitation contract with TTG Utilities Incorporated in the amount of negative $271,416.82.
Good evening, Mr. Wilson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before you tonight, of course, is the change order that was just mentioned. A little bit of background, on August 23rd, 2022, the City Council awarded a contract to TTG Utilities for the Taxiway Rehabilitation Project. This project included the rehab of the taxiway asphalt, adding 15-foot shoulders on each side of the taxiway, removing and replacing most of the taxiway lighting in the project area, thus providing for a safe operating environment for the airport users and providing long-term economic sustainability for the airport by decreasing maintenance costs. The change order number 3 replaces the existing electrical infrastructure and signage that is currently not a part of this current project, along with an additional contract time awarded based on construction delays and delivery of the electrical equipment. The change order also reduces project quantities for items of work completed and expected to be completed. Additionally, it deletes a utility allowance that were determined not to be required after construction began. Therefore, it will decrease the overall contract amount by $271,416.82, which is a decrease of 2.58% of the contract amount. The bottom line is this was a unit price contract, and we had some quantities that we we overestimated the quantities. We also had a utility allowance that we didn't need, and this caused us to come in under budget. So instead of leaving that much money on the table, we worked with the FAA to get them to allow us to do some additional work, which we needed, and we still came in under budget. Projects funded with the AIP grant proceeds and PSC funds. This change order was vetted to the FAA and has their concurrence, and there's absolutely no impact to airport operating fund or fund balance. Alternatives are, as you see there, and the recommendation from staff is City Council authorize the city manager to execute the change order number 3 for the Taxiway B rehabilitation project with TTG Utilities in the amount of a decrease of $271,416.82. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. There are no questions for you. Madam Secretary.
RS 23-192, consider a memorandum resolution approving amendment number 1 for the Taxiway B Rehabilitation Professional Services Agreement with Garver LLC in the amount of $269,200.
Okay, this is an item that goes along with one that we just approved. It's an amendment for the professional services project. A little bit of background: on August 23rd, 2022, City Council awarded the professional service agreement to Garver LLC for the Taxiway Bravo Rehabilitation Project for construction administration services, on-site resident project representative services, material testing services, and project closeout for the project at the regional airport. Amendment number 1 adds professional services to this project. The original professional services during the construction was based on the original contract time. This contract amendment adds additional construction admin services and construction resident project representative observation for the extended construction time due to construction delays and the additional signage replacement per the change order that we just approved. This change order will increase the construction duration by 168 calendar days. Original contract services were estimated based on a 250-day calendar construction duration. This amendment increases services estimated on 418 calendar days. This project, again, is funded totally by AIP grant funds and PFC funds. This change order has been vetted by the FAA and has their concurrence. And again, absolutely no impact to aviation operational budget or fund balance. These are your alternatives. And the recommendation is City Council authorize City Manager to execute Amendment Number 1 for the Taxiway Bravo Rehabilitation and Professional Service Agreement with Garber in the amount of $269,200.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson, and your staff for all that you do. There are no questions of you.
Thank you.
Council, we're taking a break. Councilman Boyd, you ready? All right, sir. Thank you all for bearing with us. We're going to try to push through this agenda. Madam Secretary, we have public hearing, and also we have items for discussion at workshop, and also council member requests for future agenda item. Mr. Revelle has 3 items in a row. We can just go through, and he can go to the next presentation. But we will stop if council have questions. So 9, 10, and 11, if you just go ahead and knock that out one time, please. Is Madam Secretary back?
I'm
Okay.
right here, Mayor.
Oh,
You want me
sorry.
just to read all 3 of them? and-
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I
Public
can-
hearing will be held on November 28th. That means we're not having a meeting next week. And you have 5 minutes each, council, to speak 2 times each.
PH 23057, hold a public hearing and consider an ordinance submitted by Republic Engineering and Development Services, LLC, on behalf of BFF Construction, LLC, case number Z2323, to rezone approximately 6.18 acres, being part of Tract C out of the Clean Area Investment Corp. Industrial Tract from R3 Multifamily Residential District to PUD Planned Unit Development with RT1 Residential Townhouse Single Family District. The property is located west of Dogwood Boulevard and approximately 950 feet south of East Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Killeen, Texas. PH 23058, hold a public hearing and consider an ordinance requested by Republic Engineering and Development Services on behalf of Michael and Rhonda Young and Clean Heating and Air Conditioning Incorporated, case number Z2324, to rezone approximately 19.53 acres, being part of lots 3, 4, and 7, Block 1, Cosper Creek Addition, from A, agricultural, to B3, local business district, with a conditional use permit for boat, recreational vehicle, RV, and semi-truck storage, and R2, 2-family residential, to B3, local business district, with a conditional use permit for boat, RV, and semi-truck storage, and R2, 2-family residential. PH 23059, hold a public hearing and consider an ordinance submitted by JNW Architects, LLC, on behalf of SCI Texas Funeral Services, LLC, doing business as Crawford Bowers Funeral Home, case number Z2325, to rezone approximately 1.47 acres out of part of Lot 1, Block 1, Crawford Bowers Subdivision Number 2, from B3, Local Business District, and B5, Business District, to B3, Local Business District, and B5, Business District, with a conditional use permit for a crematorium.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Mr. Revelle, welcome back.
Rezone public hearing to rezone property that is 6.8 acres from R3 to a planned unit development with a residential townhouse, single-family district-based zoning. The star on the map shows the approximate location of the property in question. It's actually just north of the planned Anthem Boulevard. That shows the location again of the property. This is a picture showing the property. If approved, the applicant intends to develop single-family attached units, 2 units per structure. And then, as shown on the concept plan, that would be surrounding a roadway that will end in the cul-de-sac, and then there also will be a 2.13 acre tract for green space, recreational space, and for drainage. The subject property, as I said, is currently zoned R3, multifamily, so duplexes are allowed by right without even have to do a zoning request. They could do duplexes. Again, what's being asked here is to put 2 units together. They're attached, but they're single-family units, and they'll be on individual lots. So that's different, from the duplex. Duplex is usually a 2-family unit that's on one lot, and this is these units, although they're 2 and they're attached, they'll be on their separate lot, their own lot. And for this reason, the applicant is proposing the PUD. And if it's not approved, then they would most likely fall back to just developing duplexes by right. This proposed PUD has a number of modifications that we want to point out. The townhouse group definition in the PUD would be 2 attached dwelling units instead of 3 to 5 as currently defined. Also, the separation between the townhouse groups would be reduced from 15 feet to 10 feet. There's changes as it relates to the width of the driveway from 50% to 60%. Instead of a 2-story unit, be 1-story units. And then there's also changes to the front yard setback as noted on the slide. In exchange for those changes, there are things that will be added. Street trees will be required between the sidewalk and the curb and along the public street. Also, there will be a minimum of 8 3-gallon shrubs shall be planted in each front yard for each lot. And then the front yards will be fully sodded with automatic underground irrigation systems. In addition to that, the St. Augustine grass will be prohibited, though it will actually help with impacts related to water usage. Wood fencing will be done, but we'll have masonry columns at regular intervals. And then the townhouse group will also have a repetition standard that have a slide that will communicate what those words mean, that I think would be better to just show that. And in addition to that, there'll be park fees that will be paid in the amount of $36,000. As it relates to the repetition standard, it basically will allow for 4 unique elevations, as you can see on the slide. And then this gives you an idea of what some of those structures may look like. And these structures most likely all have a same or similar floor plan, but as you can see, have a different presentation in terms of how they look from the front. It's in dealing with the comp plan, it's part of the neighborhood commercial place type, which allows up to 25% residential. It's also in the neighborhood growth sector, which means basically that's where we want development to happen, because that's where utilities and services already are. In addition, there are a number of recommendations which I will not go into that this will allow us to move forward on with this development as relates to Clean 2040, and then also advancing the big idea as it relates to completing neighborhoods with a mix of uses and being walkable too. It did additional information about the land use mix, but won't go into a bunch of details unless you have some questions later. The subject property is impacted by the National Wetlands Inventory, but is not in a FEMA designated floodplain. All notifications have been done. No written responses have been received to date. It shows you the notification extents for the property and the surrounding zoning. The alternatives are noted, and staff is recommending approval of this request as presented by the applicant. And then at the Planning Commission meeting on the 16th of last month, they took a vote to recommend approval of 6-0.
Thank you. PH-23-058.
Yes, ma'am. So this case here.
We have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It didn't show up on here. I apologize.
No big deal. I just wanted to applaud the staff and the developer for bringing a project like this, kind of thinking outside the box.
Absolutely.
We talk about missing middle housing all the time. You know, townhomes, I think single-family attached townhomes provide some of that. And of course, I love that this project is going to be in North Killeen. So thank y'all for doing this.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Are you ready, Mr. Revelle?
Yes, ma'am. As soon as we're able to get the slides up, we'll move forward. So this rezoning case is to rezone about 19.26 acres that's currently zoned agriculture B3 with a conditional use permit in R2 to B3 with a conditional use permit and R2. If you recall, this is related to the old the Platinum RV storage. And again, this is located west of Tremere Road in the intersection of Chaparral. As we mentioned, you heard of a case similar to this back in August of 2022. That shows the star shows the approximate location. The difference is tonight, this is a joint application. It's a joint application from Platinum RV Storage, which has most of this property that's shown here, and then also with this property owner here. They're doing a joint application. And we'll give more details about what the intent here is. This shows some of the surrounding zoning. This development here will be eventually a proposed residential development that is moving through the process. And again, this is Platinum RV storage. As we mentioned, Platinum RV storage, the CUP was approved back in September of 2022. But again, what the intent here tonight, and the council will take a vote on, is actually changing the access off of Tremere Road, and then also allowing some properties to be shifted and added to the proposed duplex development. So if you will recall, the original access was for Platinum RV storage is here. And what I'll do is I'll just get to where we need to go. Basically, the original was here for the access. This property now is being given, will be exchanged with this property owner here, so they could be a part of the duplex or the residential development. And then the access will shift from this location to this location. As you also see on the map, there will be some screening as well as some vegetative cover along here to provide screening, visual screening for the residential area. And then along this private driveway, there'll be screening for the RV storage and protection against the visual protection for the residential area. In addition, all the surfaces will be all weather. And then also, as I mentioned, there will be a landscape buffer adjacent to the residential development, as well as that private drive entering into a Platinum RV storage trees every 25 feet. This is a view of the subject property looking west, view of the adjacent property to the east, view of the property looking south down Tremere Road. That's not East Tremere, but down Tremere Road. And then a view looking north. The subject property is currently designated as residential mix, and you see what that says. Again, it's, in this case here, it's in the controlled growth area where it's in close proximity to city infrastructure, and got to ensure that things are being done that's physically healthy and sustainable. And we believe that this project will accomplish those big idea goals of the comp plan. I will not belabor this. It is impacted by the floodplain and the wetland inventory maps. All notifications have been accomplished, no written responses to date. And again, I can, if it will be helpful, we're attempting to do is this is currently zone agriculture. Want to, the request is to rezone that to B3 with the CUP for platinum storage. This piece right here is currently zoned B3 with the CUP, and want to rezone that to R2 so that it can be a part of the residential development. And then this piece here is currently zoned R2, and the request is to make it B3 with the CUP so it can be a part of the Platinum RV development. The alternatives are noted, and staff is actually recommending approval of the request, but subject to the new site plan that's been submitted and that we shared with you all, and then also subject to these conditions that's listed here, having parking stalls and drive aisles that are all weather, either asphalt or concrete, as approved by the building official. The landscape buffer that we talked about to protect the residential area, as well as the private drive, and then also signage being installed such that it's west of the rear property line associated with the residential lots. Planning and Zoning Commission heard this case October 16th and voted 6-0 to recommend approval.
Mr. Ravel, would you mind clearing up for me the original access point and the proposed?
Yes.
Again for me,
Yes.
please?
Yes, ma'am. I can. If we can go back to. This may be the best way to do it, Ms. Gonzalez, but the original access point off of Tremere is here into Platinum RV storage, and now it would be here.
And then just for general purpose, is there, what road is that connects to, or what road?
That's
runs right
Tremere
there?
Road.
That is still Tremere?
Yes, ma'am, that's Tremere Road, and then you have Chaparral Road.
And then Chaparral.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha, thank you.
So it's just shifted a little. Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Boyd, did you have your hand up, sir?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Ravel.
Good evening, sir.
If you don't mind going to the site plan, I just have a question about the road that's going to lead from Tremere and into the actual storage facility. There's a private drive, well, public street to be the Platinum Storage Drive that you'll enter on before you actually get onto the property.
Yes.
Because a lot of these will be heavyweight vehicles, does the road need to match the same type of road for their actual RV park? I'm just thinking about how the road would be constructed if there's any modification that needs to be made to sustain the weight over the years.
Yes, sir. And any of those decisions will be made at the point where we deal with the development review. Engineering would be engaged, and they would be looking at that to make sure that we have the right construction type. So that will be taken into consideration.
Sure, okay. And that question is based on us accepting that road eventually to maintain over time.
Yes, sir.
So thank you for the response, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Revere,
Yes, ma'am.
PH-23-059.
Yes, thank you. This is a request to rezone property. It's the current funeral home service from B5 and B3 to B5 and B3 with a conditional use permit to allow a crematorium. The current address, existing funeral home, as I said, is 1615 South Fort Hood Street. And again, they want to have on-site cremation services. The star on the map shows the approximate location off of South Fort Hood Street. This shows the exact location. If approved, the applicant, as I said, will build a facility that will house a crematory. And then, as mentioned there, the hours of operation will be Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That shows the approximate location on the property where the facility would be. It shows you what would be a part of the facility. So there's a cooler, there's an office area, viewing area, and then the retort area where the crematorium equipment and services would be. The applicant has shared with us that this crematorium equipment meets a number of safety requirements, fire protection requirements, as well as requirements associated with reducing emissions and potential odors. And then also proposed building will meet all the current zoning regulations, including landscaping and architectural standards. This is some information the applicant shared related to the equipment details. And I believe the applicant is present tonight as well, or representative. Subject, as I said, is currently zone B3 and B5. Crematoriums are only allowed by right in M1. And so the applicant is seeking a CUP, a conditional use permit, to allow this specific use associated with this specific business there. And that's what this whole slide is talking about, so I won't go into that. Shows you the surrounding zoning and the exact location. A view of the property, existing funeral home. This is showing where the building would actually be located, which is the rear, just behind the funeral home. Exact location in the rear of the property. And then all the comp plan information. All notifications have been accomplished to date. No written responses. Shows the notification extents. Council has the 3 alternatives mentioned here. And staff does find that this is consistent and do not anticipate any negative impacts to surrounding properties. And so recommending approval as requested by the applicant. The Planning and Zoning Commission heard this on the 16th of October, voted by a vote of 6-0 to recommend approval of the applicant's request.
Thank you, Mr. Revelle. Are there any questions?
Councilman Board.
I'll ask.
Councilman Boyd?
Mine didn't light up, huh?
I stated
thank you,
that
Madam.
earlier, it's not working. Councilmember Boyd, and then
Thank you,
Councilmember
Mayor.
Cigar.
So just 2 questions that will determine my response on this. First question, where is the next closest crematorium? Or is this the first one in Killeen?
It's the first one in Clinton.
Sure. Councilman Boyd, we'll have the applicant and the applicant's representative to come and answer those questions.
Good evening, ma'am. She's up here, Mr. Boyd. Good evening, ma'am. Would you please state your name for
Yes.
the record?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name's Jennifer Walker, and I'm with J&W Architects. And there is not currently a crematory in the Clean area. So I'm here on behalf of my client, and one of, well, I guess it has become more popular and as a service, and they would like to keep their clientele here locally. So that is their request.
Okay. Do we know if there's one in Harper Heights, Belton, or Temple area?
I believe there is one in Temple, yes, sir.
Probably in Temple, farther from here. The next question I have, would the general public know when when they're operating this furnace, if you will?
Correct. No, sir, they will not. These machines run around $200,000 to $500,000. They're very high-tech equipment. Unfortunately, Keith Turner could not be here today. He is actually with the funeral home. I'm just the architect helping them through this process. But they are very sophisticated. They go through all the EPA tests, and they pass all of those. You don't notice a odor or noise, and also smoke. None of those are of concern.
Yeah, I just want to verify that for
Sure,
myself.
yeah.
My concern is driving down Fort Hood Street, knowing you have a funeral home here, seeing any indication of those services being performed. That's a concern, and then the citizens on the other side, on the north side of that property. But I thank you for that information.
Sure, thank you very much. Are there any other questions that I can help with?
No, he answered the one I was gonna ask, because this is the first time that I've ever seen anything come before this council like this, so it was more of a curiosity to find out if we had one of these before, but
Absolutely.
I think you did a good job answering, because I think we always have to kind of answer some of the questions that some of the citizens may have concerns, and it sounds like there's not much to worry about, so I'm glad. So
Yes,
thank you.
and if you have any additional questions in regards to the actual equipment and the services that they provide, I can get you in touch with Keith as well.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I have a quick question. I have mixed feelings. You're in District 3. We have it's a different kind of district with a lot of people in the area. Who regulates this? Is it the funeral home? Is there someone that's come on a monthly basis? Is it an inspection?
Regulates the machine itself?
The service
The
itself.
The funeral home is the one who provides it. Currently, I believe they have a relationship with another funeral home that has a crematorium, but then they would be doing it all in-house. I believe on the equipment, it says how many services it can provide on the daily. Keith, during our zoning meeting, said that's not something, they're not going to be running,
Yeah.
through it that often. They just want to be able to provide that service to the community, since it has become a more
Acceptable form.
Yes.
I get it. But I'm still concerned about the regulation. Sometimes death comes fast.
Sure.
And there's a lot of persons that may have to use it.
Sure.
What's the in-between cleaning of it? How does it work? I guess that's something I just need to go over there and find out for myself.
Correct. Yeah, I'm sure they can give you those questions, absolutely.
Yes, I
But
answered that question.
I will say that I worked with the client previously on their remodel and addition, and it is their line of work. They take it very seriously and with respect, and so I do understand the concern, but I don't think it's going to be something that they're just running it constantly. It's going to be done respectfully.
And only Crawford and Bowers will be using it?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Thank you. I just had a couple of questions that were posed regarding the, more so the environmental impact. There's been some reports on the excessive use of energy and that there are some pollutants that are emitted. And then I guess there was a study in '99 where I believe it's California Department of Public Works had issue with excessive amounts of mercury. So what steps have been taken or what steps are in place to protect as much as possible the environmental aspect of having this particular service right there in that location?
I believe, as mentioned, the specs are on there and it does cover all those EPA standards, just because it has become a more acceptable way as an end-of-life service. As far as having it here in Killeen, I think it's just a service because it becomes a timeline issue with taking them to a different location as far as for the family. If there's a lineup, let's say, because so many people are using a particular piece of equipment in Temple, they're just trying to provide it for the community, only for this community.
Sure, I understand. Yeah, but the question is really regarding the environmental impact, I guess is really the concern that was posed to me.
Yes.
So if, I know that some of the regulations tend to be weak when we're dealing with like EPA and things like that. So do you have recommendation of where I can maybe direct the people that have the questions regarding the environmental impact?
Absolutely. I think that if you go to that manufacturer, they will have all of that listed. Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Council, for your questions, but to me, it's just servicing your customers.
Right.
Giving them another option.
Right.
And it has been used before in other cities, and there is some concern, like Councilwoman Gonzalez saying, Mayor Pro Tem, about EPA regulations, ensuring that our environment is safe. Not only for the individual utilizing the machine, but also our residents.
Absolutely.
So thank you both.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Revelle.
Thank you.
PH 23060, hold a public hearing and consider an ordinance amending the FY 2024 annual budget of the City of Killeen to increase revenue and expense accounts in multiple funds.
Good evening, Mrs. Drake.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This budget amendment is to cover carry-forwards of all non-encumbrance-related items, including ARPA funds, grants, Public Facility Corporation funds, the 2023 CO bonds, and state and federal seizure funds. So we'll start with the general fund. There's the $5,000 grant that Mr. Perez briefed you on earlier. And then we have all of these ARPA funds. And then there is $65,000 of the Killeen Public Facility Corporation funds for the grocery store initiative that's included as well. Then we have the Law Enforcement Grant Fund. These are the JAG funds for 2023. And the $45,000, that includes $20,713 that would go to City of Temple, $24,855 that would go to Bell County, and then $46,489 would stay for City of Killeen for the Real-Time Crime Center. And then we would also be appropriating the state seizure and federal seizure funds fund balance to set aside reserve funds for the Real-Time Crime Center as well. And then we would be appropriating the ARPA funds, bringing those forward for the hotel occupancy tax fund. And then for the Animal Services Donation Grant Fund, it would be bringing forward the Petco grant funds that were remaining from prior years. And then we have the 2023 Certificates of Obligation funds that we'd be bringing forward. This is for all of the projects that were allocated last year. And then for the aviation fund, we have the item that Mr. Wilson briefed on earlier for the Taxiway B project. We have the 10% grant match from the PFC funds for $20,989. And then we have $20,000 appropriation for fuel farm and car wash facility maintenance. And then $49,900 that is for a electric vehicle sustainability study. And then I would recommend approving and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Drake. There are no questions for you. Thank you. Item for discussion at workshop. Council, you have two times each to speak for 5 minutes. Madam Secretary.
DS 23-108, receive Senior Advisory Committee Annual Report.
Thank you, Mr. Jones and Ms. Hinkson. Good evening, ma'am, sir.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, Mr. Cagle, Chief Justice Clement, distinguished secretary. My name is Barry Jones, and this is
Stella Hinkson.
Stella Hinkson. You got the present, the past, and the present chair here. So we giving you an overlay of what happened last year up to beginning of the year. Okay, the officer from the past was myself, Barry Jones as chairman, Debbie Voigt was the vice chair, and all these other members was on the board. The only one left the board this year was Emilio, Debbie, Deborah, Barbara, and that's it. That's the only, we were replaced by other personnel that came in today, like a new chair, all right, and her husband. And what's the other guy? The other guy's name is Ken McCord. So those three people replaced the one that left. Get the next one.
Okay. And the initiatives that were proposed for this last year with various programs and initiatives, continually working with the senior center staff on these initiatives. Volunteered 84 hours within the center from October 22 to September of 23, helping with the meals, lunch program, grocery giveaways, promoting and assisting with special events, and bi-monthly cultural lunch and learn events.
We continue to work with the senior center manager plan and initiate new programs that align with the pre-planned events and the budget. Act as assistant and volunteer for planning events and programs at the senior citizen that members are familiar with the board members. Activity seek Facebook from the senior members, report the senior citizen manager and the city council liaison in a timely manner what's going on. Continue to communicate with the senior citizen, relate to the ideas and senior center manager and city council liaison. Plan to coordinate with the senior citizen manager, establish food pantries, and distribute daily food at the center. Continue to support letters for isolated people. You know, some seniors don't come there anymore, so we more or less sit down, write a letter, or sign a letter, and send it to them, let they know we thinking about them.
We also implement a donation drive of winter blankets for senior members, partner with the KFD to begin a program for distribution of carbon monoxide detectors for the seniors that need it, partner with KPD on their winter coat drive for the homebound and homeless seniors and residents, help develop and implement a toiletry cart at the senior center, and continue the process of implementing a video gaming program at the senior center.
Accomplishment, the annual Christmas luncheon and gift giveaway implemented Just Because Day. That day was handled real well this year. I'm glad we did it, but the person that started didn't show up, but we did it anyway. We had a good time. Phenomenal Independence Day, Fall Festival, Halloween, MLK Day, and portrait reading, Mother's Day luncheon, Juneteenth, senior prom, and distinguished birthday recognized people 85 to 90. We haven't had anybody past 90 so far, but I'm hoping we had one this year.
I believe we do.
Yeah.
Other accomplishments, National Night Out in partnership with KPD, annual Giving Thanks Luncheon, distributed senior center information to the Clean Area Senior Apartments and Living Facilities, recognized the Women's Army Corps Veterans Association. They do donations and monthly bingo, which is usually a full house on those days. Groundbreaking ceremony for the new Gilmore Senior Center, Rosa Herford Community Center, attend city council meetings such as tonight, and help with the downtown 4th of July festival.
Okay, we hosted 10 meetings this year. The December meeting will be canceled for the holiday. We'll attend senior town hall meetings. We'll attend city council meeting. We know that. And we'll attend Coffee with Kelly. She have that every month with one of us being there in case one of the senior has a question pertains to what we do for them and how can we do things better.
Future plans, we continue to actively seek feedback from the members and report them to the manager or city council liaisons in a timely manner. Continue to communicate related ideas to the manager and city council liaisons. Plan to begin cooking and serving lunch quarterly at the center. Continue supporting a grocery store on the north side of Killeen, which will help our seniors. Continue participating in the center's Letters of Isolation program, which is around in other states also. They go back and forth, so senior centers can go with senior centers and others also. And continue serving Killeen seniors in any way possible.
Do I have any questions pertaining to what we just covered?
Mr. Jones and Mrs. Hinkson. Mr. Jones, thank you for your service as the chair of the Senior Advisory Committee. And Mrs. Hinkson, I'm looking forward to working with you in your new capacity, in the capacity of the president of the senior board. And Councilmember Solomon and Mayor Pro Tem, thank you for all you do for our seniors. You are the council representative that sit on that committee. With that being said, Mayor Pro Tem.
The mayor stole my thunder. The mayor stole my thunder. I was going to say thank you, Mr. Bear, for your services, and we welcome you, Mr. and Mrs. Hinkson, as we go through. And Mrs. Kelly, Mr. Nook, we thank you also for being there and to be advising and to finding those spots. We've had a great time. I love coming. That's why I wanted to be back on the board with the seniors. Y'all have a lot of fun over there. So let me go before the mayor tell me my minute is up.
When you get to be 55, you can join us.
I'm already 55.
Oh, you did?
Yes, sir, I'm over 55. I'm a old lady.
Mayor Pro Tem, you can never thank our seniors enough for everything they have contributed to our community. Councilmember Solomon.
I just want to echo that. Thank y'all for what y'all do. I have enjoyed coming over there to those meetings. And as a liaison, feel free to keep us posted, and if you need anything, just let us know.
Thank you.
And welcome the new president.
Thank you.
You're doing a good job.
Thank
And
you all.
Ms. Kelly, thank you for what you do.
Thank you all. Madam Secretary, we're now moving to Mr. Cagle.
Yes, ma'am, and there's nothing to report on item 14.
I do have.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll move on to, sir.
Madam Mayor, I believe Councilmember Adams had an update.
Oh, I apologize.
All right, sorry. We did a safety summit on last Monday, not like yesterday, the previous week. Myself and members of the staff attended. One thing I'll have the, I guess the secretary or the admin assistant send out to council members and the staff. If you can complete this form every time we talk about safe streets for all. The intent is that we get, it's related to an in-kind program, so the more we talk about it and they see the numbers, the amount of money that we have to put towards any of the project decreases. So as you're listening to me talk about it, go online and say you see the discussion. If you're out in the streets talking about it, go back, once you get this link, fill out a new form. So we are hoping that some of the projects that we need to fill in at each of the intersections, at each of our major areas, because the goal is to get to 0 fatalities. I know that's a heavy thing, but we can try. But again, before we get the grant, the more we discuss it among citizens and what have you, we track the hours. Thank you.
In this council, as Mr. Cagle stated before, this is just going to always be on our agenda in case something changes. With that being said, Madam Secretary, council member request for future agenda item. Could you read all of them at once, please?
Yes, ma'am. RQ 23011, Dark Skies Program. RQ 23012, Proliferation and Unregulated Operation of Vape Shops in Killeen. RQ 23013, Car Wash Certification Program. RQ 23014, Homeless Strategic Plan Update. RQ 23015, Discuss Killeen Volunteers Incorporated.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Council, as you know, this is not a discussion item. It's either you want it on a future agenda item or you don't. Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, stars at night are big and bright deep in the heart of Texas. Mayor and council, the Dark Skies program is sponsored by Dark Skies International. Our Texas Wildlife the Texas Wildlife Parks and Wildlife Department is already a part of it, a number of other cities. Lighting is, as we continue to grow, lighting is going to become an issue. The Dark Skies program promotes lighting that is more efficient and doesn't shine upwards. I grew up in a city that had a lot of lights, so if I wanted to see the stars, I had to go outside further away from the city. And so I've had residents reach out to me to say, can this be something that we do? I've seen it presented at National League of Cities. So this addresses lighting pollution. So I am proposing that the council approves placing an agenda. I'm moving that the council approves placing an agenda item to discuss exploring the establishment of a Dark Skies program in Killeen.
So there is a motion of direction to see if you want to place RQ-23-011 on a future agenda item. Councilman Alvarez.
Madam Mayor, I would second that motion.
A motion of direction. All in favor, yes. All opposed, no.
Questions?
Sorry, we have another question.
Yeah, before I move, I think I just want to get clarification, because if I'm not mistaken, somewhere, I know we've had some discussion on this, but, and city manager maybe could answer this, is this something that can be done even though we do not own the lights? Because I know that the biggest thing is we're trying to get that ability to own the lights. If we can't own the lights, then there's no reason to do something.
Well, generally, it applies to all new construction. So it's not going back and retrofitting, or if people come in with, if you have a dark sky ordinance and someone comes in with a renovation, it's just that the fixtures have to be dark sky compliant.
So this would be just for new lights, then,
Yes,
not
sir.
to going back? Okay, just clarifying that, because I know that was an issue we had discussed.
And that's my assumption. I don't think I've ever seen one that was retroactive.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Councilmember Boyd, yes or no? All in favor, yes. A motion of direction to put it on a future agenda item. All opposed, no. Thank you, Councilmember Boyd. Motion of direction carries 7-0. RQ-23-012.
It's my proliferation. So we have, I guess vape shops is the thing, and smoke shops are the thing. There are there are state laws covering the sale of tobacco products and other products in them. However, there's nothing that regulates how and where they can be placed in the city. This request is to place an agenda item to discuss drafting an ordinance that will address regulations that cover the zoning regulations and the operation of regulations, that including the distance from certain special places like schools and what have you.
Councilmember Gonzalez. That's a motion of direction?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Councilwoman
I
Gonzalez.
second that motion.
All in favor, yes. All opposed, no. Oh, you have a question? Yes, sir. A question for Councilmember Alvarez, because it's not a discussion item.
For Councilmember Adams, yes.
I
yes,
mean,
Mayor.
Councilmember Adams, the age.
My question, and hoping, I know this was briefly discussed, is if we could, if you would mind adding to this item, these sweepstakes and legal gambling establishments we've been seeing come up throughout the city.
I'm okay with that if it's germane. It's not, okay, yeah.
No worries, we'll bring that back.
All in favor, yes. All opposed, no. Councilmember, did you have a question, Councilmember Solomon?
I wanted to know, do we already have something on the books? Do we already have something on the books for sweepstakes?
No, that's not even an agenda item. We're going to add that on the future by Councilmember Alvarez, and you can co-sponsor that with him. But that's not on the agenda to discuss tonight. Yes, sir.
Right, I wasn't discussing, I was asking because he had brought that up.
Right, and he found out he was out of order. I just didn't say it that way.
I see.
I was
My
nice.
apology. Okay.
Okay, all in favor, yes, but we'll put it on the future agenda for Councilmember Alvarez and Councilmember Solomon will co-chair that. Thank you, Councilmember Boyd. That's a yes from him. Just wait. The motion of direction is to bring back RQ-23-012. Yes, 7-0. Okay. RQ-23-013.
Make this quick. As you know, the Executive Director of Public Works presented to council a few months back a report on the number of car washes in Killeen and whether they use recycled water. As part of that presentation, the idea of a certification program was submitted. As you know, we getting a lot of complaints about a number of car washes in Killeen and how they use the water. So I am submitting a motion of direction that we bring back an agenda item to discuss the establishment of a car wash certification program that addresses reuse of water, environmental protection, and record keeping and reporting requirements.
I just have a question. Ms. Kager, did staff give us a whole presentation on this?
Not on exactly what Mr. Adams.
Okay. Can we get a motion of direction? We have it by Councilmember Adams and second. Okay. Councilwoman Gonzalez.
A second.
All right. All in favor, yes. All opposed, no. Thank you, Councilmember Boyd. Uh, 7-0. RQ-23-014.
All right. This one is an update to the Killeen homeless strategic plan. I did speak with Ms. McNair and Mr. Cagle about this to see where they are, and I just thought it would be necessary every time, since with the changes that were made with Arbors of Hope, and we haven't had an update to the public or to us. So I'm requesting a future agenda item, just not to come back with a new plan, but at least give us an update on where we are now.
Thank you, but Councilmember Adam, me and Mr. Cagle had already decided to put it on the coming up agenda. But he said you had put it on there after we already had decided. So council, it's gonna be on there anyway. All right, next item, RQ-23-015.
I did not request this. I am the president of KBI, and I think it might be inappropriate for me to discuss.
Then was it a council member that requested it?
Okay.
Did any council member request to put this on there? No.
No.
So, all right, so we can move on. All right, can I get adjournment?
We adjourn?
All in favor? Meeting adjourned. Everyone, enjoy your Thanksgiving break. Much love. Councilmember Boyd, much love from us.